All right, welcome, kings and queens. Listen, today we are talking Shanquella Robinson. Yeah, as a blogger, I feel like it's my obligation to bring this to the forefront. And no matter how many stories have been told on this, it's our job to continue to speak out on the behalf of her so that there's some type of justice, some type of recognition, some type of law enforcement involvement. This is a very, very brutal and sad case. This is just crazy, right? And I'll just jump right in. So what we have is a 25-year-old, beautiful, young, lovely Black woman who went to Cabo, San Lucas, Mexico, with a group of quote unquote supposed to be friends, okay, frenemies. She got there on October 28th. 24 hours later, she was dead. She got there on October 28th. The next day, she was dead. So I think there was 3 girls and 2 guys, including herself. So there was either a group of 5 or either a group of 6. Either way, something happened. Well, we know what happened. There's a video floating around of her supposed friend beating her naked, okay? And her best friend, who's assumed to be recording, one of the people recording the videos, ask her, "Are you not going to fight back?" And she says in the sweetest voice, "No." Okay? Who does this? Who? Let's just pause. Who does that? First of all, as men, grown as men, filming a young woman being attacked brutally, naked, didn't even think to cover her body, pull the girls apart, and say, "Hey, you know what? Stop. She doesn't have on clothes. Stop. Y'all stop filming her." Which tells me there was a lot of resentment. There had to be a lot of animosity. And I really want to get the details so the FBI is involved. And I need to know, how long was this planned? Because this was planned, whether she knows it or not. I don't know if it was premeditated before they got there or something popped off. Somebody got pissed off, got their feelings hurt, couldn't talk through the situation, and they decided that violence was the answer. Okay? You can see the girl just beating her. And we only got a snippet. We got a snippet of that video, which was probably about a minute. I believe there's way more to that. I think there was a huge altercation, and this is just assumption on my end, right? Because you don't just run into somebody's room and start beating them up. So there had to have been some type of buildup and a climax. And then boom, the violence. And I have a lot of questions about this because her neck was broken and her spine, she had an injury to her spinal cord, okay? According to the autopsy, a broken neck and her spinal cord was cracked. Now, let me give you an example of spinal injuries. Think of the worst migraine headache you've ever had. Anybody with a migraine will tell you they become nauseous. They vomit. The pain is so extensive. So with a spinal injury, times that probably by 1,000, the level of pain. Because according to one of the men, he said that she was throwing up. And they tried to put it on alcohol poisoning. But now we know that's not true, according to the autopsy and the medical report, right? So we know she was beat. We know that. We know it wasn't the vomiting and the cause of death was not because of alcohol. Here's the crazy part, though. the officials, the medical officials in Mexico, did not align her death with suspicion or foul play. And that's not true. Somebody beat that girl to death. But Mexico is not necessarily a very transparent territory. There's a lot of violence there. There's a lot of corruption there. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. Everybody don't love us everywhere we go. Sometimes we are tolerated. We are tolerated. So the fact that they did not thoroughly fill out that autopsy, to me, is very symbolic of the level of concern and or care they gave to that document. Everybody does not celebrate us. Some people tolerate us, okay? And to me, I'll say it again, the fact that they did not do a thorough job of filling out her document or even cared. Did they even care? That's the question. How she died. And I think from a political perspective, they didn't want to get involved. Mexico wanted to close this, get this thing in and out, get it and wash your hands of it and be free of it. Okay. The parties that were involved flew back to the U.S. and told her mother that she'd gotten alcohol poisoning, and that's how she died. And they left her there, y'all. We don't know when they came back. We don't know if they came back the next day, the following day. We have no other details other than the video and the autopsy report. And the mother said, Shanquella, to bring her luggage. Now, here's where I'm going to go with this part. The person that brought the luggage is the one that's feeling, that should have intervened. Whoever brought the luggage, whose ever idea it was to bring the luggage, is the one that's going to break down emotionally first. Okay? Because that's probably the one that's feeling bad for not intervening. The one that was closest to her that brought the luggage. And also it's symbolic because you know she can't bring it herself. So you know you'd have messed up. You know she's gone, right? You know she's not coming home from the hospital. So the least you can do is bring the luggage, which is very sick. You don't realize it when you're doing wrong in that moment. Very sick. You brought her luggage and handed it to her mother because you knew you was wrong and you knew you watched her die and or set her up. And I'm sure we're going to find out more. Okay. I don't expect Mexico to come forward. When you understand the politics, the corruption, and the way that territory operates, we can't expect nothing. And not only that, people don't really value us a lot like we think they do. That's why it's important when we travel overseas, you sit down and you behave because you're in their territory now. What they say goes. They wanted this to go away. Okay? Okay, if you say alcohol poisoning it is. But the person that did the autopsy, he wasn't there. She wasn't there. They're doing their work as usual. I guarantee you, the officials from Mexico did not expect this to come back. They didn't, because they would have cleaned it up a little bit better. Now, every single person that went on that trip with her, every single one needs to do time. You aided and abetted a crime. And not only that, you lied. All of y'all lied to cover up that girl's death, Shanquella's death. That's horrible. And if you were going to do that, then leave her luggage, because that's a slap in the face. And I'm really trying to watch my mouth. That is a slap in the face to her mother and to her. She was murdered, brutally killed in Mexico. And she didn't have the covering that she should have had as a Black woman. And it's so funny because Black women, man, we cover folks. We cover Black men. We're going to march for a cause. We're going to help out in the church. We're going to go to the school. We're going to, whatever it is that you need us to do, we're going to be right there. We're going to help you out. But when it comes time, who covers us? Because there were men in that room that did not cover her. There were men in the room that didn't even cover the beast that beat her. So not only did you not cover her, you didn't give a damn about either of them. You wanted them to fight like wild ass animals. And to me, that's a form of self-hatred. You don't even think she's worthy, or either one of them are worthy of separating. Let them fight. That's what they do. Fight back. That's sick as hell. Okay? I am so glad that YouTube bloggers have taken a stand to say, not today. We're not going to let this one slide, because we're going to talk about it. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep updating. And not only that, all that code, that hood code shit, we're not doing that. Somebody better come forward and say something. All of that, we're going to turn our heads and pretend we didn't see anything. We're not standing for that no more, y'all. We have the power and the capacity to clean up our community. We have the power and the capacity to turn the tide and say, we're elevating from here on out. We're not settling. We are not settling. We will not be conditioned, nor will we be encouraged to attack each other, to participate. We're going to take a stand. We're going to use our mouths. We're going to have outcries. We're going to protest virtually by way of using our platforms. It's kind of similar to what we are doing with OWN Network, Carlos King. When we start to see them bully and gang up on Melody Holt, same thing, right? It just didn't get that far by way of violence, but it could have, because Martell acted an ass. You see how you start to see it brew when somebody doesn't call a timeout or intervene. Somebody can get hurt. But I'm using that as a reference point so that you all can understand the reason we've become so passionate about blacking out, not supporting these networks, these black producers, a lot of them black male producers that are putting black women in these awkward ass volatile situations, inciting confrontation, inciting bullying, hostile work environments, alienation, mental anguish, because that's all you're doing. When you allow an imbalance and you allow this surge of people to go against one person, and you refuse to step in and you have full knowledge of what's going on, that's no different than what happened to Shanquella Robinson. I'm just using it as an example. Like, there was no violence by way of people trying to put their hands on Melody, but Miss Wanda did try. You get what I'm saying? Tisha said, keep that same energy. You see how that shit starts to brew up and fester and turn into something that could be really, really bad. And once it gets there, it's really hard to change it, because we don't know how long Shanquella has been being bullied by these people. We don't know. We have no idea. All we know is the end result was her death. And, I just think I like where we're going as a community. I like the fact that we're speaking out about this. It's just crazy that a beautiful young lady had to lose her life because of jealousy, envy, hate, the same things we cover in those reviews, the same things that we talk about and we call out. Okay? And this isn't new under the sun. This isn't new, but it's becoming more recognized because we have technology and digital access to be able to see this. But there's a level of accountability that I want to place in front of all of us from here on out, moving forward. Let's close out the year right. If you know you're running with folks that don't really like you, folks that have made you feel uncomfortable, even if it's not been necessarily direct or outright, move the hell along. Don't be giving people 2, 3 chances. Once they go there with you and you feel disrespected in your spirit or you feel uncomfortable in your spirit, walk away. It's not worth it. As we're seeing, have talks with your children. Have talks with your nieces, your nephews, your sons, your daughters. Have talks with yourselves. Hell, some of us put up with people that we should have walked away from a long time ago. Men, women, cousins, uncles, family, all of that. And last but not least, let's pray for justice. Let's pray for swift justice. My only concern is it didn't happen on U.S. soil. So I think they would have to be extradited back to Mexico. The FBI would have to push and pressure the Mexican officials to at least, quote unquote, investigate it. Okay? I think they would have to push, and then we would have to rely on Mexico, the Mexican authorities, to want to pursue this. And that could go either way. Now, we're going to pray for the best outcome. We're going to pray for justice for Shanquella, for her mother. And we need it to happen swiftly. The other thing is I encourage each blogger, follow up on it. Don't let it die. A candle and saying her name is not enough. We got enough power. We got enough momentum and energy. There's enough of us to turn the tide. There's enough of us to make a difference. And if we could all work together and come together on the behalf of Black women that are suffering in silence, the Shanquella Robinsons and many, many more that you may know in your family and or your friend circle, this is just a beginning. We could literally create a renaissance of positivity, support, and reestablish our community. I said a lot because this is something I'm very passionate about. I want to come back. I want to follow up. I want to get into a little bit more detail. You know what I thought about though? I was like, I wonder if something happened. Let's just say there was no previous or prior animosity. The first thing that came to me, I said, I wonder if they had a fight or a little bit of animosity over the trip, over money, who was supposed to pay for what, right? I wonder if it was something about the trip and money and you said this or you said that and back and forth. And then, everything happened, got out of hand, but everybody should be prosecuted. But I wonder if this fight was about the trip or something else. And I really believe in my heart, we're about to find out. So my challenge to all of you, when they follow up, as they update, make sure we update. And with that being said, many prayers to the family of Shanquella Robinson. Thank you all for tuning in. I am very passionate about this. This is just crazy. But we're going to do our best to keep up with it. We're going to do our best to keep you informed. And until then, you all enjoy your evening.